What's up, friends? Happy Monday. It is Hacks coming to you with another YouTube build video. And today we wanted to bring y'all something special. I've been a flak main in Borderlands 3 since launch. I've been making a lot of Amara content lately, so I feel like it's about time I took it back to my roots, and I released a build video for one of my first ever Borderlands 3 builds. So without further ado, this is Houdini Flak, and let's jump into it. Hope you enjoy. So, as you can probably imagine from the name Houdini, this build utilizes a lot of fadeaway. Another thing it utilizes also is the 5150 URAD anointment. As you can see, we're running a front loader, so a lot of our weapons are going to be capitalizing on that 5150 URAD bonus. Primarily speaking, we're using a lot of the reflux. Now, it doesn't matter if you use a times 7 or a times 14 here. What matters is you pull out a reflux with the URAD anointment. This is going to be your main mobbing weapon, and with head count, it's going to allow you to get your action skill back repeatedly, which means you can use it more often, which means more awesome interactions with fadeaway. So again, times 7, times 14 doesn't matter. Just make sure you are running a reflux in some capacity. Now, we are running a set of the consecutive hit and 5150 Monarchs. Here we have the 5150 equipped in corrosive fire and shock. These work very well with some of the skill setups that we have in the build. They put out a lot of bullets, a lot of damage. You do have some other options by way of some redistributors, some licenses, some light shows, but we tend to prefer the Monarchs. They're our go-to. We get a lot of DPS out of them, especially with the 5150 URAD anoint, and having them in corrosive fire and shock pretty much guarantees we'll be able to handle any situation we find ourselves in with regards to ads. Again, this is something that you can alter and change if you would like to, but I tend to run the Monarchs in most scenarios. We mentioned earlier that we're running a front loader. Here, this one has ASE 50 bonus incendiary. Your elements don't really necessarily matter. You can match them up to the enemies that you're facing. But again, you want to make sure you have some diversity between your grenade and shield. Here, we're running a Mitosis Hunter Seeker with shock. The Hunter Seeker allows us to get some bonus procking on the Pearl, so this is always a nice choice if you're going to combo up Flak with a Pearl of Ineffable Knowledge. For most situations, we're going to be running a stack bot. Stack bot allows us to get some pretty significant damage, especially out of the Monarchs, but when you're bossing, you probably will want to switch over to a Bounty Hunter. I just find that you get more benefit out of a Bounty Hunter in bossing scenarios than you do a stack bot. Again, that choice is yours, but you'll see when I play this build, I will switch around based on what type of activity I'm running. Lastly, we are running a Pearl. One thing you probably do want to note about this is while I give you the fire rate and mag size Pearl, this one is the health regen, and we'll talk more about that later. So let's get started with the Hunter tree. I feel like this is the tree most Flak players are going to be the most familiar with. We're going to start by putting 5 points into Planetary Stalker. This is just raw plain damage. It's a great skill to have. 5 out of 5 here, no brainer, absolutely. Moving right along, we're going to put 3 points into Leave No Trace. This is going to help us maintain our firing, especially with guns like the Reflux. We won't have to reload near as often with 3 out of 3 and Leave No Trace, so that's the thought there. Second Intention's a great skill. Now, some people may prefer to put these points in Grim Harvest for the bonus gun damage. That's totally up to you. But we like the reload speed. It pairs nicely with Overclock, so we've put 2 out of 2 points here. Now, moving down the tree, we have put 5 out of 5 points into Hunter's Eye. You'll notice that we have 2 points extra from our class mod. This works really nicely, especially when you switch over to the Bounty Hunter for bossing. You get a lot of really solid bonuses, so we've gone ahead and maxed this out. We've also maxed out head count. This also works really nicely with the Reflux. In terms of keeping our action skill available, this build does utilize its action skill quite a bit, so having it more frequently is never a bad thing. Moving down, we have maxed out Big Game and Most Dangerous Game. These skills, much like Interplanetary Stalker, largely translate into a great deal of damage. I tend to max them out in most builds that I run with Flak, so these are always great choices. Speaking of great choices, Galactic Shadow for 1 point. I mean, you're getting a 15% critical hit damage bonus, and also you're having that ability for enemies to be less likely to attack you, which pairs well with Hidden Machine. All of this, of course, is to get down to Megavore for that 20% critical hit chance. This is going to work well with a lot of the other skills in the tree and pretty much help us in making sure we have Fade Away constantly. We are, as far as pets go, running the Spider Ant Scorcher for the health regeneration and the elemental damage. Moving into the Stalker tree, we are putting 5 points into Self-Repairing System. This was a little bit of a tough choice for me. With a URAD build, I didn't see a lot of merit in this skill, but I did find that max health cap gives us a little bit more wiggle room, as does the health regeneration for situations in which URAD isn't going to get us killed immediately. So I decided to put 5 out of 5 points here for that little bit of wiggle room. Buffer with a URAD build is always nice. Now, as far as the rest of the green tree is concerned, you're going to see a lot of pretty consistent skills here. With other flak builds, you're going to see 5 points in Furious Attack, which is going to equate into a heck of a lot of damage. You're going to see 3 points into Overclocked. Again, this pairs nicely with Second Intention, works really well with the Monarchs, gives us extra fire rate, and as you're probably well aware, extra fire rate, more bullets downrange equals more damage. We're putting 3 points into all my BFFs here. This is going to help keep the pet alive. We are running, again, Lick the Wounds, so keeping the pet alive is going to mean the pet's going to be able to revive us, which means if we do get into some trouble, we're going to be able to have our pet come and help us out. That's also one of the reasons why we're running the health on the Pearl. Turn, Tail, and Run is just a great skill. If you're standing still, you're going to get bonus gun damage and fire rate. If you're moving and running out of a sticky situation, you're going to get health regen and damage reduction. These 3 points are a pretty easy pick. I don't think I've ever made a flak build in my history of playing this game that didn't put 3 points into Turn, Tail, and Run, so I strongly suggest that you pick it up as well. Now, Hidden Machine works really, really well because we're using Not My Circus, so even though we're not running a Gamma build, we have a means for our pet to taunt and aggro enemies, which means we can pretty much, whenever that happens, get a constant 30% damage bonus. Always nice to have more DPS with flak. This is one of the means we're using to make that happen, so we've put 5 out of 5 points here. Now, Rage and Recover was previously bugged. I do believe, don't hold me to this, that it's fixed now. It seems to be fixed from my playtesting. So we've put 3 points here for a little bit more health regeneration. And again, this stacks well with our pet in terms of keeping our pet alive with all my BFFs. This helps us again with those really sticky situations where we come close to dying. But mainly it allows us to get down to the power inside. Now, this is an interesting choice because we're never at full health, but basically since we're using Fade Away so frequently, it's worth picking this skill up to get that 25% damage bonus whenever you pop into Fade Away. It may seem weird, but test it out. Trust me, play with it. It does help you in the context of running the 5150 URAT anointments. Like I mentioned, we're running Not My Circus, so we're getting that pet taunt duration every time Fade Away ends. We're coming in and out of Fade Away a lot, so this is good to have. We're also, in this particular situation, set up to run Gorillas in the Mist. Now, Gorillas in the Mist is really, really cool because Gorillas in the Mist allows us to keep our Fade Away longer than 3 shots. There are going to be instances where you want to run Fade Away for only 3 shots. You will get it back quicker that way, but with your stack bot and the Monarch, you will be getting the most damage that I have seen running the Gorillas in the Mist augment over Unblinking Eye. Just note that if you want to switch over to 3-shot Fade Away, you're probably going to do much better with Unblinking Eye. And Until You're Dead is always an option. Until You're Dead's nice, especially for the movement speed, but I tend to run either Gorillas in the Mist or Unblinking Eye. We've got 3 points left over. We've got 3 from the stack bot and pack tactics, but we're putting our last 3 points in Persistence Hunter. If you're running the Gorillas in the Mist setup, this is going to allow you to stay in Gorillas in the Mist longer. And if you're running 3-shot Fade Away, you're going to get the 12% bonus gun damage. You can put these points elsewhere if you prefer, but I tend to find Persistence Hunter to be a fairly reliable skill in either specking of this build, so we've put 3 points here. Alright, well that about takes care of the skill trees. What do you say we rate this bad boy? So, as far as Houdini Flak goes, I feel this build is really, really strong with mobbing. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10 here. I wanted to give it a 10 out of 10, but we'll stick with a 9. There are some situations where because it's URAT it can get overwhelmed, but for the most part mobbing is no problem with this build, especially with weapons like the Reflux and the Monarchs. Bossing requires a little bit of some switching around and some maneuvering, but it's still really strong with the right setup, so we'll give it an 8 out of 10 there. Sustain, unfortunately, as far as sustainability goes, this is a URAD build, so 6 out of 10 is the best I could give it. You will likely get knocked down a bit playing this build, but you should, like Chumbawamba, be able to get back up again, so that's not really a huge issue. As far as gear dependency goes, you do have some favorite items, so to speak, but you also have some wiggle room if you want to play around with some other items. So while it can be gear dependent, the variety here I think makes it a fair 7 out of 10. Overall, I'd give this build about an 8. There are some things I still want to do to it and some things I feel like it still can do if I put some more thought into it, but for this variation of the build, I think an 8 out of 10 overall ranking is fair. Alright, so you know it's shameless plug time. So first of all, if you've made it this far in the video, thank you very much for watching. If you like what you've seen, please do not hesitate to like the video, sub to the channel for more content. Really helps me get my YouTube foot in the door. For those of you that don't follow me on Twitch, do note that we give away builds like this and many, many others. I think we're up to 58 M10 builds now. From a variety of content creators. So if you're ever looking for anything, we give away builds all day long over at www.twitch.tv/H4XZZHD. If you'd like to stay connected with this content, with stream alerts and other cool Borderlands things, hit me up at Twitter at HacksHD. And if you would also like to, feel free to join the Discord over at the After Hours Club. Alright, so I think that's about going to do it for this video. I'm about to go make a thumbnail, and I'll catch you on the next time. Peace.